Jamaica, we have a serious problem, and it's in regards to how we are managing autism on our island. You would be surprised the number of children in Jamaica who struggle with the effects of autism, especially when it goes undiagnosed. You'd also be surprised the number of children on our island who have autism and their parents have no idea because they have not been diagnosed by a specialist. We're going to speak about all the reasons that is happening, why parents aren't learning this about their children, the different situations that are present in Jamaica that's impacting and negatively impacting children who have autism, and more. So stay tuned. My name is Brianna Vernon, and this is the Independent Report. So I guess it's fair to say that many of us in Jamaica, we are aware of what autism is, or we have some understanding of it, but we don't realize that many children on our island are actually autistic. And it seems to be a number that is increasing over the years. Between last year and this year, I have heard of an increase in situations where children are being diagnosed with autism, or they are showcasing some of the, I don't want to say symptoms, because people argue that it's not an illness, but they're showcasing some of the characteristics of being autistic, even if they have not yet been diagnosed. And it's a situation that we need to deal with, and we need to deal with it quickly. According to studies, and that's presented by the Jamaica Information Service, 1 in 68 children have autism. That's an alarming number, to say the least. And I find in Jamaica, as I mentioned, you have so many children who are autistic, and their parents write them off as just being poorly behaved, dunce even, mistreating them verbally because they believe that they're not smart enough, or they're weird, or they're odd, when that's not the case. The truth is that when a child has autism, which in the simple definition is a condition, a neurological condition that is characterized by challenges in social and communication skills. That's what it is. And most times, especially when the child is mildly autistic, they are able to function as normal, meaning at first glance, someone would not even know that this child is autistic. But the issue is that many parents, they see their children showcasing some of these signs, and they find everything else to classify the child as stupid, this, that, and the next, before getting the child the care that they need, before bringing them to a specialist so that they can actually see what's going on with the child. Because there are situations when you do that, and when you identify it early on, the child is actually able to learn well. You will be surprised how brilliant they actually are. They always say that autistic children tend to be very intelligent, and it's true. But it's not only the parents, who should shoulder some of this blame. Yes, there are many who are absolutely and ridiculously ignorant to the fact that autism is a real thing, that it's possibly what their child is dealing with, and they push it under the rug, or they don't do their parental duty to go and check out what the situation is with their child. But that aside, there are those parents who do their parental duty to figure out what's going on. But then they're met with issues in the system. Issues such as, the wait time to get your child the specialized care, the wait time to get that assessment to actually confirm if they do have autism, and then how to go about handling that for the child. And then not only the wait times, but there is a small amount of specialists on the island, which of course results in this lengthy wait time. I've known of cases where parents, they submit whether it's their appointment to get this assessment done by an institution who caters to children who have autism or who are showing signs of autism, and it's taking months and even years for them to get that assessment done. I know of specifically one case where it took about a year for the assessment to be done. And some people, they're waiting even longer. But that's not the only issue, because another issue arises where cost is concerned, especially when the child is dealing with autism at a greater scale, when it's more severe. Because they have mild, moderate, severe. So when the child is moderate and severe on the autism scale, the costs are of course a lot steeper. And parents have been crying about the costs. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for speech therapy to get them to see specialists. And that's separate and apart from the school fee that they have to pay. And don't get me started on the school access for children with autism in Jamaica, because there are schools, yes, who do provide specialized learning, special education, but they are far and few. They are little to none. You'll even do a Google search and you will be struggling to find them. Even more so on the western side of the island. And you can't expect that every family will be able to migrate. That would be nice if you could migrate to Kingston, where some more of these institutions are, but that's not the possibility, or that's not a possibility for every family. And so costs are high for specialized care and learning, and then institutions are little to none. And you even call some of these institutions who say they offer special education, and they might tell you that yes, we do offer it, but we don't have available teachers at this time. So now we're jumping into another issue that's plaguing our island: the lack of special education teachers. But then again, what can we expect? Because we lack teachers in general. You guys remember that mass exodus of teachers from Jamaica that took place a few years back? Was it well over 400? I believe so. And that's why it was crazy to me that the teachers had to be battling back and forth like that with the government for them to receive the salaries that they deserved and still deserve. When it comes to our essential workers, I'm not saying you have to break the bank, but when it comes to our essential workers, you put them first. Without teachers, none of we never have no sense. Without teachers and without education, I would not be able to be speaking to you right now. You would not be able to understand a word I'm saying had it not been for teachers. And so imagine now, where we already have an issue with teachers on the island, imagine how much more detrimental it is for those children who have autism, especially because it's on the rise, and yet special education teachers and teachers in general are on the decline in Jamaica. especially when this is the case for a lot of special ed teachers too. The salary might not be attractive, and then they also have to factor in that they are teaching children who take a lot more effort and patience, which of course they ought to be trained to do so. But then when you factor in that many of these children on our island who have autism are moderate to severe, it's not like they're all mild. When you have a teacher dealing with that, worse, they're not being paid properly. It's a recipe for disaster. And I've heard of, within the last year alone, so many special education teachers leaving rapidly their jobs. And of course, the children are going to suffer. And I was even more alarmed to learn that according to a study done by a researcher here on the island, Daniel Brown, that ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder, treatments for it are not covered in insurance policies in Jamaica. If that is the case, by the time I upload this episode, then that would be great. But as it stands, treatments for autism are not included in insurance policies. And so the fees and the costs that parents have to be paying are enormous. Taking into consideration also the fact that majority of people on the island are not even making $500,000 to $600,000 per month. And when you factor in the cost for treatment for children who have autism, plus the school fee when they're going to a school that offers special education, then you know that that's a chunk out of your paycheck. Most people who are living alone or single parents, I should say, even those who are in a nuclear family, aren't able to afford that. So just think about all I've said so far, and you'll be able to get a clear picture of how serious the situation is. What can we do? Well, the simple truth is that people are not going to offer their skills and services and expertise where they don't believe it is valued and where it's not worth their while. We can say that we're expecting teachers and specialists to do it as if it's simply volunteer work because they are needed. But that's not realistic. These people have lives, they have families, and they have themselves to take care of. The truth is that if something is not attractive enough, you're not going to even step foot into it, especially something that requires so much dedication from you. And so I believe that what the government needs to do is to put in place some measures that attract more Jamaicans to want to study in this area of special education and handling and dealing with autism. We need more specialists, we need more teachers, specialists who can diagnose, teachers who can teach these children according to a specific curriculum created for them to thrive. Teachers who will display compassion and patience, and at the end of the work week can know that they are being rewarded fairly. Not only that, but we need to educate parents more on this. I realize as Jamaicans, many of us are very ignorant. And when something looks odd or we don't understand it, we cast it away as weird or stupid, without realizing that you are possibly doing your child the greatest injustice of their life by not giving them the attention they need and getting them the care that they need. So let that end today. Let our ignorance as a nation regarding autism end today. That's where I'm going to leave this topic for this episode. Share your thoughts as well, if you agree with my points or if you disagree, and of course explain why. We are here to have thoughtful and meaningful conversations. So yeah, once again, that is it. And I will see you next time. My name is Brianna Vernon, and this was the Independent Report.